Welcome back to Dayton Startup Week Defense Track. As I mentioned, we have a great panel to talk about for our 11 o'clock session, Women in Defense Doing Business with the Government. What a great lineup we have with Nina Joshi, President and CEO of UES Incorporated, Lisa Coker, CEO of Infinite Management Solutions, and Lieutenant Zoe Walters, the AFWERX Innovation Manager. So welcome, ladies, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Let me just do a sound check real quick to make sure we can hear you. Is everybody off of mute? Nina, how are you doing?
Yep.
I'm here.
Zoe,
can you hear me?
I'm
yep,
great.
We hear you great. Well, thank you so much for being here. When I look at you all and the things that you're doing and working with the Department of Defense, just dynamic and impactful, and I think it really is going to hit home for small businesses or women who are interested in careers in working with the Department of Defense. Just a great lineup to have here today. So I wanted to kick off with reading your bios and so folks can hear all of the great things that you're doing. And then we'll go into some questions today. So just give me a minute here. So I want to start off with Ms. Nina Joshi is named President and Chief Executive Officer. We had some technical difficulties here. President and Chief Executive Officer of UES Incorporated in May of 2008. In her role as CEO, Dr. Joshi continues to strengthen UES' current core competencies in materials and processes, surface engineering, aerospace power and propulsion, biological and nanoscale technologies, photonic and electronic technologies, and integrated health and performance sciences, while expanding into other fields including additive manufacturing, nanoelectronics, digital engineering, and artificial intelligence. She places a special emphasis on the development and commercialization of UES high-tech products and services. Under her leadership at UES, revenue has tripled. That's amazing. So Dr. Joshi received her PhD from the University of Pittsburgh in molecular toxicology and her Master of Public Health from Tulane University. In addition to her role as CEO, Dr. Joshi is a strong supporter of education, women in science, and the Beaver Creek community, as well as local charities, including the Dayton VA Fisher House, the Dayton Air Camp, and Feed the Creek. She's also a member of the Materials Research Society, the Dayton Development Coalition, and the Air Force Association. A native of Dayton, Ohio, Dr. Joshi currently resides in Xenia with her husband and 2 children. Welcome, Dr. Joshi, and thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank you, Anissa, and thank you for putting on this panel. It's very important to discuss women in business as well as women in CPD.
Absolutely. So, Ms. Lisa Coker, the CEO of Management Solutions, a woman veteran-owned certified small business which primarily partners with middle market and large organizations in both private and public sectors. Ms. Coker is a proud United States Air Force veteran. Throughout her career, she has earned a reputation as a trusted partner, dynamic facilitator, outstanding problem solver, and accomplished professional. A major accomplishment involved her leading a 120-member team in a strategic planning project for the Air Force Materiel Command. 4-star general commander who oversees a $60 billion budget and over 80,000 employees. As a certified Lean Six Sigma Black Belt practitioner, Ms. Coker partners with C-suite executives to develop their strategic plans and streamline operational processes, resulting in reduced operational costs and improved mission effectiveness. Ms. Coker has a bachelor's degree in business administration and master's degree in organizational change management. She holds memberships to the Air Force Communications and Electronics Association, AFCEA, and Women in Business Network, WIBN, Women in Defense, and Rotary Club of Dayton. The Dayton Business Journal recognized as one of the professionals and named her a 2040 Under 40 award winner. She continues to strive for excellence and gives back to her community. She was recently named to the Business Journal's national list of influential young executives, Rising Stars. Rising Stars spotlights 100 people in business across the country who are having an impact relatively early in their careers on their companies and their communities. In her spare time, Coker enjoys running and traveling with her husband and 3 children. And I just wanted to give a fun fact about our Lisa was the honorary chair for the Walk to End Alzheimer's and raised one of the highest awards for the 2019-2020 vision. So thank you, Lisa, for being here today.
Thank you for having me.
So next thank you. So next I'd like to introduce Lieutenant Zoe Walters. She graduated from the United States Air Force with a Bachelor's of Science in Systems Engineering. While at the Academy, she took interest in innovation and design thinking. She was made aware of the innovation opportunities within the Air Force and decided to pursue programs upon graduation. She spent her first assignment at the Air Force Research Laboratory's Space Vehicles Directorate as a program manager for the Space Technology Accelerator Program. She ran design sprints, hackathons, and technology accelerators to reach non-traditional companies with dual-use space technology. She is currently positioned at SAF AQ, that's AFWERX, and runs the CYBER Phase 1 Open Topic Program. She is an expert in connecting military end users with relevant commercial technology through the rapid use of contract vehicles. And I wanted to say one fun fact that I discovered about you, Zoe, is that you were a pole vaulter at the Air Force Academy. So
yes.
welcome, Zoe. You have to give us
great
some
to be
insight
here.
into. Thank you so much. So I wanted to just start off with again thanking you for being here. And you all have reached various levels of success, and whether you're in later stage in your career or early stage in your career. But how did you think you reached your level of success, especially among leadership in the defense industry? So Nina, we'll start with you.
So first, I think that overnight success takes about 15 years. So it takes a long time, and there's a lot that needs to be accomplished to be successful. So I think it's first and foremost honing your skill, defining what you want to do, and then ensure that you're doing that. And at the same time you're doing that, I believe that you always have to have an eye on what's going on outside, because there's a lot of signals that you get from outside if you're actually moving in the right direction. So make sure that you're always willing to pivot and move forward, and then use your resources. It's very, very important to reach out to people, to connect with them. People are very, very willing to help you move forward. You just have to connect with them and ask for that help. And I think that is what I've used over the last 20, 25 years in my career, and it has worked very well.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else want to jump in there?
Sure, I will. What I've learned through my experience is definitely your personal and professional reputation usually precedes you. So kind of just what Nina said, kind of knowing what you want to do and really filling in those gaps with whatever education or training, professional development you need to be your best version of yourself. Also networking. So networking. The ecosystems that we'll hear about throughout today's sessions, they exist and it's real. So get plugged in with the various programs and networks around the Dayton area or wherever you are actually. Just get plugged in, get in the game. And then I found that your marketing, so your marketing and branding, how you brand yourself should be reflective of who you are. And then hiring professionals, hiring and taking care of your people. I would say those things have helped me in this early stage of our business.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah, and
Zoe,
I
did
would
you have-
echo. Yeah, I would echo all of those same things. And then, at least for me, it was defining, finding something that I'm passionate about and actually pursuing it. So, not thinking yourself too low to strive for positions that maybe were far above where you thought you could be. And so, be an expert in your field. Just like, these other two ladies said, do, whatever it takes to become an expert at what you're passionate about, and then pursue that, and don't sell yourself short, I guess, is my big thing too.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so I wanted to encourage our viewers today to utilize that feature and hit us with any questions that you have. So we can hopefully, if we can get to the end of our talk today, we'll be able to capture some questions that we get from the viewers. So I encourage you to use that chat feature in there. So one of the things and one of the reasons why we're having this discussion today is that women remain underrepresented in the defense industry. But some recent success stories have shown that women that were kind of homegrown in the defense industry often often end up leading those same companies that they work for. So it's more common, but for men, it's more common to arrive from different industries and kind of move around and then assume that leadership position. But for you, how has that been in your experience? And how are you utilizing your position to homegrown and grow your people for success in this defense industry?
So I had a bit of a different.
So I'll take it. I'll take it first. So in my experience, that's exactly what happened in my particular career. So I started out active duty Air Force and then transitioned from active duty Air Force over to a GS civilian. And now I am a defense contractor. So I like to say I've worn all three different hats. So I know the perspective of all of the internal stakeholders, I would say. I believe that we as women, it's important for us to grow other women behind us. It's important for us to give back, to pull up the next woman. In my particular company, we believe in diversity as one of our core values. And so we have a lot of women on our staff, we have a lot of minorities, and we also have veterans. So it's important that our team represents our community. And so with that, not only am I making sure that I develop my women, and it is a deliberate effort, I'm also making sure I develop my other up and coming employees as well. And so part of that is, in order for us to do that, we have to grow so that we come up with other positions and leadership positions. And so that's my job as the CEO, grow the company so that I can keep and retain the great talent that I have and keep developing the women and other teammates that show themselves ready and able to rise to the occasion.
Thank you, Lisa. Nina, you said you were ready to jump in there.
So I think it is difficult in the DoD industry for women, just because it's not traditionally an area that women understand and know about. That being said, I've found incredible women in DoD, very, very talented women, and I think women have some very credible characteristics to add to the workplace. One is they're very practical. Secondly, they make incredible managers because they are they don't mind confrontation, so they actually solve problems and they will go after and execute very well. So that is very beneficial to any organization. So I would agree with Lisa. It's we do develop our women, but we also develop our everybody within UES, and I think it's become more important. Professional development has become even more important because we have such a young workforce these days, and so we've taken quite a bit of time to try to determine what professional development is going to mean. We are putting a framework in place so that everybody else understands what professional development means within UES. And then we actually work to broaden people's and give people broadening opportunities so they can move forward and reach their goals.
Absolutely, absolutely. Just great insight into. I love the way that you are leaning in to grow your people and making sure that they have those opportunities available for beyond, where you are now and to continue to grow them going forward. So, how would you say that you have how do you differentiate yourself from the the other competitors or other stakeholders that you may work with?
I can start if you want. um,
Yeah.
Even though I've had a short career, I would say in my current position, I work with a lot of people who are 1 to 2 ranks ahead of me, and advise a lot of folks who are maybe even more than that, just because we happen to be kind of in a unique area of acquisition within the Air Force. As that commercial investment arm, we have a very kind of unique background, unique experience, and unique mission for what we do. But I really do think the way I've differentiated myself in being able to now lead our cyber efforts, for the open topic, is just being confident and not being afraid to confront folks of a higher level and just have real conversations with them, especially within the military. We're kind of talking about just being, in the defense industry in general. It's very rank structured, very rank oriented. But that doesn't mean that you can't have conversations, with those folks who are a lot higher up than you per se, and try to be the person that generally gets feedback and that provides opinions in a respectful way. But that's a big differentiator, at least on the military side, and kind of where I'm at in this industry, because it's not very common. And so being able to do that well is a huge bonus to your career, and just how people will look at you.
So I can expand on that. I agree with everything that Zoe said. Interactions are so important, and getting out there and just telling people what you are passionate about and trying to move ideas forward are incredibly important. I think we do that very well in our company. For our company, I think we differentiate ourselves in 2 ways. We actually, I believe very much in bottom up leadership, which means that everybody, the where we move actually comes from levels, and then it's my job and the corporate individuals' jobs to make sure that happens and give that structure. And so you get everybody involved in how you're moving forward, and everybody excited and integrated into the company. I think secondly, you need to stay customer focused. We are very good at understanding what our customer wants, what our customer needs, and then helping them get that. And I think that leads to success.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So I loved exactly what both of these wonderful fellow panelists said. In addition to that, I would like to add, so one of the things that we kind of pride ourselves on, there's about 3 different things that we pride ourselves on. We really hit home that we're professional problem solvers. And so like Nina said earlier, we know that women are just naturally problem solvers. We hear a challenge, there's an issue, we're going to overcome it. We're going to figure it out. So I'd like to say IMS, we are no kidding professional problem solvers. Another thing that we are just what Nina said, client centric. So we truly, we don't play when it comes to our clients. And anybody you ask on our team, that's truly how we feel. We take good care of our clients. We're always listening out for those needs, the things that may have been said and those things that may have not been said. So being attuned to what's important to our clients, whether it's the mission, vision, what initiative they're working towards, how do we help them get there? We also, so we're a defense contracting company, but we are consultants. And so what our culture is we are always looking to add value. So that means that you're listening, you're paying attention, and you're helping our clients solve some of the issues that are on their plates. So one of our mottos, our last comment I have is, it's never crowded on the extra mile. So we go the extra mile. That's kind of how we differentiate ourselves in the workspace.
It's so important. I mean, it's so important to, as Zoe, you mentioned, having that confidence in knowing what you bring to the table, knowing those assets that you bring to the table, whether it's natural instincts as a woman or just those leadership qualities that you have. It's just all about getting in there and getting the job done right and making sure you're, like Lisa mentioned, you're adding that value. So thank you so much for that insight. So next I wanted to ask you, what is that one key bit of practical advice that you would give to women pursuing a career in the defense industry? What's that one thing or one or two things that you would say, hey, these are things you need to look out for, or these are things that I think that I wish that I would have known as I was getting started in different areas. So Nina?
So I think Zoe has shown us that today, and talked actually quite a bit about it, which is speak up, decide what you want to do, figure out how to get there, and then speak up. Be part of the framework of moving that forward. We're always looking for good people. Everybody is trying to get their tasks and their mission completed. And if you can help people get there, you will be successful. Secondly, I think another thing that I would like to say that I didn't know when I was younger is making your boss look good is always beneficial. So do things to make your boss look good. When I was starting out, I always thought it was important to emphasize what I wanted and where I wanted to go. But it's actually in the beginning of your career, it's more important to understand the framework and to try to work with that framework and then move those projects forward. And if you can do that, then you end up understanding the company, you understand the surroundings, and you start really getting some good mentoring and figuring out what you need to do to be successful.
Thank you. I wish I could, have all of this and capture this and play this every day. That motivation. Thanks, Nina. Lisa, did you have insight into that as well? What's that practical advice that you would give someone?
Absolutely. I echo everything Nina said. And in addition to that, I would say take on those challenging projects. Volunteer for those special assignments, those strategic initiatives. You're going to hear about those, the things that the leaders of the organizations are tasked with. Raise your hand, offer up assistance. Whatever it is that you do, you can help a leader move forward with whatever the goal or the initiative is. And so I would say get in the game, because if you take on special projects, it gets you out of just your day-to-day job. Now it's more work. With every opportunity comes work, but hard work always pays off. And so I would say you get insight into enterprise level decision-making meetings and conversations. And when you understand how the people at the top make decisions, it helps you in the long run. So just what Nina said, make sure you take care of your boss and think about what your boss's boss is tracking to. If you can make your boss shine and their boss shine, you're golden. So that's what has helped me.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. So Zoe, do you have what's that bit of advice that you would share?
Man, those were both said really well, and I totally agree with Lisa and would kind of like to echo what she just said, which if you have those opportunities to do in the active duty side, they're extra duties, right? A lot of times it's volunteering to organize something, to throw something together, and while it's just extra time, sometimes in that sense, or just extra effort in doing those special projects, you stand out automatically. Somebody knows your name at a higher level because you're in charge of something, even if it's small. And I think that makes a big difference. It shows that you are someone who's there to put in work, and someone who's there to better the team. So, push the mission, move it forward, and not just there, to accomplish your specific piece. So that's a great piece of advice. I love that. And then kind of jumping off, just the being a woman in industry part is expect to be surrounded by men most of the time. And I think that's for some reason something that I did not quite catch on to until I actually showed up to the Air Force Research Lab, and realized kind of my position, and then embrace that and move forward with it. But maybe it's just me. I was a little bit shocked at just kind of the defense industry in general, and then the engineer scientist side of that, and how few women there are. But the ones that are there are great mentors and great people to look up to.
Absolutely. And I remember when I was a lieutenant working in the Air Force Research Laboratory and just taking on roles that maybe you're not comfortable with. It's like, oh, I'm kind of scared. But, that really, sets, puts you in a place where you can kind of overcome some insecurities that you have to be able to just hone in on those leadership skills that are out there. So I totally agree with what everything that you're saying. So we're in a state of COVID-19, right? And it has really probably shaken up a lot of our worlds. I mean, here we are having a panel session, virtual, and just a lot of new things are happening. But when it comes to your approach to business and COVID-19, what kind of changes have affected your business with COVID-19? And then, how are you holding up? How are you, able to maintain this tempo and this change, with just, in your everyday life? See, Zoe?
Okay, I'll jump in. So, Air Force Ventures took on basically a surge with our SBIR efforts due to COVID. At the very beginning, kind of late March, early April timeframe. And so we jumped right in, and we kind of pivoted our what the technologies we were looking at to all COVID. And so we put out a solicitation and got in way more responses than we expected. And so that was great. But like I said, it was a surge. And so, we kind of surged through that to bring in some of those technologies to the Air Force. We also helped out in some other areas to do evaluations for other government agencies who were looking for COVID preventative technology as well. And so there's kind of that part, but then we got to take a break, in the last couple of months leading up to the 20.3 solicitation that I think Jason probably talked about earlier, and get to kind of redefine, where AFWERX sits, where AFVenture sits within AFWERX, and then, take a look at our program portfolio and decide what's important to us. So in some ways, it's been a little bit of a breather as well, and a time to reflect on, where our organization lies and our priorities moving forward. And then as far as the day-to-day stuff, it has been really interesting, especially for me being an active duty member working from home all the time with a team of people who are also, working from home and kind of transitioning to that online environment has been really interesting. And I think we've found that people work a lot more actually when they're at home. And so you have to actually encourage folks to take time off, which I'm sure, the other women have experienced in their companies as well. And so it's been different and interesting. And I think from the Air Force side, at least, and probably the Department of Defense side, we'll see a transition in how, certain jobs are accomplished and who's actually, in the office most of the time. And I think we'll see a more flexible workforce and work style out of that, which as me kind of, rising up as a woman, I'm looking forward to, if I stay in the Air Force to be able to have a little more flexibility as, my husband and I, progressed kind of down our path of life and maybe end up having a family and stuff like that.
Definitely. It's definitely a change, right? Nina, so you wanted to jump in there.
So for UES, well, first off, I should say we are pretty lucky to be associated with the DoD because there's many sectors that are not doing well. And so we include ourselves as a lucky one. We have not had as much issues as others. We're still doing very well. In fact, I would echo what Zoe said. In some cases, we have more work. We do a lot of biology products, and we're moving, and we do a lot of biology research. So as those COVID dollars have fallen, we have had to work really quickly to switch some of the research areas we're in and move in to some new COVID areas. And that's been very beneficial. As far as working goes, we've had to change completely. We have a lot of scientists that are now working at home because of their activities. They've been very successful in continuing and being productive at home. So we're very fortunate to be in a space in the DoD that we really can function at home. I think it's also going to change how we look at work in the future. And especially, I will add to what Zoe said, how we deal with women in the future. I think females, as they go and have families, may get the flexibility they need. And actually, that wouldn't just be females, that would be for males as well. As they have babies, I think we've shown that we can productively work in a virtual realm. And so to give people some flexibilities as they're going through life cycles, I think is going to be very, very important. And I think we're going to have more engaged employees by doing that. And also we're going to really benefit our children. I personally have enjoyed being home because I have a 10-year-old and a 12-year-old, and I get to see them a lot more. Now they're busy doing what they do during the day, but I'm interacting with them all day, and it's phenomenal for them to understand who I am, and for me to really spend those minutes sort of moving our relationship forward. And so I think it's brought a lot of benefits, and I think we will see a lot of changes in the future.
I love that you touched on that, because it's definitely, as women and women with families or children, it's a different way that we move in business, right? In our relationship with our families and our children, and when you're in a dynamic position that you are, um, adjusting to that. And so, Lisa, did you have insight into that as well?
Sure, I would. I agree with both Zoe and Nina. It has brought on its challenges, but along we have noticed. So I particularly have noticed having three children and a husband, and normally you're out of the home for 8 to maybe 10 hours a day, being in in the same space for 24 hours with your entire family and a dog can be challenging, along with juggling what the new workspace looks like, right? And making sure you take care of your clients and get on Zoom and every other thing. So I like to say, I don't know if you've heard the saying, the struggle is real. We say the juggle is real because you're juggling so many things as the owner of the company and as the leader and as the mom and the wife and the daughter, and so you're juggling all of these things. So I would say I found that it's important to get up and take a walk. I've gotten back with my fitness trainer to say I need to work off some of these quarantine COVID pounds and free my mind. And then making sure that, like Zoe said, building a culture where it's okay to turn the computer off, close the laptop. Usually when you're at work and you leave at 4:30, you don't pick work back up until you're there at 8 a.m. In this day and age, we're on 24/7. So telling people unplug, literally unplug, it's important. Take a breather. So those types of things, and making sure that my team doesn't burn out, right? So burnout is real, and it's really real for women because we do have all of these other roles on top of solving problems in the workspace. And so I would just say for me and for us, we're just trying to build the culture of turn it off, close it down, do your 8, 9 hours. Work is going to be here. Let's prioritize. That's what we've learned in COVID. Priorities. What's important. And so leading the family that way and leading the workforce that way and taking care of clients with that in mind. What's the priority? COVID has made us put all things in perspective. All things. So that's my take. The juggle is real, ladies.
And I'd like to add one more thing as well. I think for women, I know that there's women that have children that are home. It does get very, very difficult to do that. And I think one thing that we've been trying to do is really understand what those needs are and change how we do things. You know, a lot of times women or men are busy with their kids between 10 and 2. So can we have meetings early? Can we have meetings late? Can we change our schedules so they can participate when they need to participate, but they can actually balance their life and integrate their life into work? I think that's very, very important. I don't think we've quite gotten there yet. We're just at the initial stages trying to figure out what that looks like and how we would implement that, especially because we work very closely with our customers. And so it has to be a group effort to move into that. We're starting to get a rhythm and starting to understand that we can balance both and still be very productive.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Nina. You hit home. You made me think of there's an African proverb that says, it takes a village, right? And so you have to lean on those support. Sometimes as women, we don't say, oh, I need help, but sometimes you have to be very deliberate in saying, I need you to take the kids from 10 to 12 and do something with them because I need a break. And be very deliberate about what you need and what you ask for is what I have really learned from COVID. But there's good things that come out of it, is being able to really see what's the priority and definitely like Lisa and Zoe mentioned, leaning in when you need to, and closing that computer and stepping away when you need to as well. So, and I encourage our viewers to continue to use the chat to ask questions. And we do have some questions from our viewers. And one of them is, do you feel the defense community is adequately inclusive of women? Um, do you feel that it's inclusive of women, or have we come to the point where women are feeling like they can be a real strategic partner in the defense industry?
So I think there's always room for improvement. I think we're better than where we were 5 years ago, but there's still more work to be done. And so it's important for the ladies like us to make sure that we mentor other women, that we bring them along as opportunities present themselves to us or to me. I'll speak for myself. As opportunities are presented to me, looking for other women to perhaps partner with, team with, subcontract, prime contract. I think all of that is very important. So I think we're better than we were yesterday, but there's still a lot more work to be done.
So I've always believed that if you bring something to the table, and you really have focused and honed your skill, that you will be rewarded. So I think that there is more work to do, but I also think it's incumbent upon women not to take or not to take the sometimes negative things that happen to them offensively. So I think we need to, as women, we need to understand what our focus is, what our purpose is, and then you will meet people that are going to be detractors. You will meet people that are going to say things like, "Oh, but you're just a woman," and it's really not your problem; it's their problem. I find that if I focus on what I'm trying to do and not focus on their trying to, I don't know, I don't want to say denigrate, but their what they their negativity, then I find I am able to succeed. And then you bring those people along. A lot of times people have opinions that are not, they're sort of learned opinions, but they're not necessarily correct. And if you can get past those and get past what their perception of you is, and you can change their perception and then move things forward. So I'm a scientist. I've been in a world dominated industry for a long time, and now I'm in the DoD, and I find that I have been able to change people's opinions over as they interact with me.
Absolutely. So, what of your favorite K through 12 programs that you think can give girls the skill to prepare them for an S&T career? Has there been anything that you've experienced or with your children or programs that you've worked on in K through 12 that you think would be great for girls to, if they're interested in STEM careers, to get involved in?
I have two that my daughter has participated in, and I would say they really paid off really well for her. I would say the first one is Destination Imagination. It's a K through 12 program, and even at college, but they give college scholarships. You compete globally. So it's a program where they bring together kids of the same age groups, and they have to solve a problem. And so it's different kind of categories of problems you can choose from at the beginning of the school year. So it could be something, a community service project. It could be something more architectural. It could be something in the science realm. But it teaches the children, one, how to collaborate. How do you solve problems? You're not going to agree. Imagine 6 to 7 third graders trying to build something, but they have to build consensus along with building the product. And so it was a great experience. So they competed against teams from China, Turkey. I mean, all the different nations would come into University of Tennessee is where the competition was usually held every year. But that program has been outstanding. It taught my daughter how to communicate, how to collaborate, and how to solve problems in a time frame. So imagine a time clock. You're under pressure. You can get snappy, but not in destination imagination. So they teach you how to do that. The second one is Girl Scouts. Girl Scouts taught her leadership skills. Selling cookies is not easy, but my daughter can sell ice cream to an Eskimo because of Girl Scouts. And so it taught her the confidence and competence that I think will serve her well into her adult life. So those two programs I think serve really well and to women, little girls particularly.
Thank you. Lisa, what was the name of the first one that you mentioned? What's the name of the program?
Destination Imagination, and they call it DI.
Great. I agree. As a Girl Scout troop leader, Girl Scouts definitely teaches you a lot of leadership skills, especially if you have a really focused STEM Girl Scout leader. You did a lot of STEM, like in my troop.
Right.
But,
There's also the Lego League, which is much more male dominated, but it actually it's a very good program as well. It's like Destination Imagination in the sense that it is a short time frame that you have to conduct activities. With Lego League, you're actually building a robot, and then you have to do different activities on a board to achieve different tasks. And once you achieve those tasks, then you compete against other teams. And it's a very good program. You can learn coding, you can learn building, you can learn engineering, and it steps you through how to go through that process. They also have a project side of things, and so you actually take on a project and you actually can make a product as well. So I would highly recommend that activity as well.
thank you. First Lego League, Girl Scouts, Destination Imagination, and Zoe, did you have any that you wanted to share?
I mean, I don't have any, nothing quite like that. I think I had never heard of those first two that you guys talked about. The one that I kind of know about is the Challenger Learning Center, but that's kind of on the space side, and it's in Colorado Springs. So it's a little bit more specific and probably less relevant to a general audience. But there are programs like that throughout the country that focus either on a specific technology area, or that you can just join summer camps, kind of as nerdy maybe as kids would see it. Those are great opportunities to learn the things that you guys just talked about as well.
And Zoe, there is actually in Dayton, there's a Challenger Space Learning Center here as well. And I know Girl Scout troops have gone and done projects with them in our Dayton public schools and schools across Dayton. So that's a good one that you mentioned as well.
Yeah.
So
as
we're
a good job.
Yeah, I agree. So and I can't believe it seems like the time just went quickly. What great insights and leadership and wisdom you shared today, ladies. Thank you so much for being here. I wanted to just close with one final question, and that is, what is one quote that you most identify with, or your favorite quote, and why? And we'll start with Nina.
So my favorite quote is, the first responsibility of a leader is to define reality. The second is to say thank you. And in between, the leader is a servant. And I like this quote because it sort of um, shows exactly all three aspects of what leaders do. Very important as a leader in a company to really understand where you're going, what the framework looks like, what the landscape looks like, and be very realistic as to what you can do in that area and how you can be successful. And then secondly, our people are everything. We are not successful without our people. And so to thank people for what they're doing, to make them a part of a family, and to really understand what they need to be successful. As a leader, I think your first responsibility is to get the resources to the people that they need, and make sure that you are helping them achieve what they need to achieve, or what they would like to achieve. And that leads to a leader as a servant. It's funny, once I had somebody ask me, or he made the statement that, oh, it must be great being CEO, you can do whatever you want. And I looked back at him and I was like, are you kidding me? Because not what a leader is. I mean, I always say, so we have about 275 employees, and I always say that I have 275 bosses. Like, it is my goal to serve our employees and to serve our customers. And so if you don't come in every day with understanding what your job is, I think you can move it in the wrong direction. It's not about me. It's about everyone else, and it's about giving back to them, and that's where your success comes from. So I thought that it's a good quote, because it really encompasses everything that I try to achieve every day.
Thank you. Thank you.
I love that, Nina. So I'll go. So what my favorite quote is actually a scripture. It's, to whom much is given, much is required. And it's Luke 12:48. I am reminded of that every single day, right? And so I'm blessed to be a blessing. I'm grateful, humble for what I've been blessed with. But that's a constant reminder as we're taking on more things and more work. To whom much is given, much is required. And so that it has been important to me foundationally. And then here's one that I just recently heard last week from one of my fellow moms in a moms group that I'm a part of. And I've told all my teammates this. She said, we either win or it's a lesson. Either way, it's a blessing. No losses. It's a win or a lesson. Either way, it's a blessing. We're going to learn from it. So those are my two favorite quotes.
Those are really good. Really good, Lisa, Nina. Zoe?
So my favorite one is probably Teddy Roosevelt's "Man in the Arena" quote, and it's kind of long, but I'll read most of it. And it's, the credit belongs to the man who's actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deed, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who sends himself in a worthy cause, who's at the best known in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly. That it's been a quote that I've known for a while, but a couple years ago I read Brene Brown's book Daring Greatly, and she puts that into a little bit of a different perspective in how you live your life vulnerably, and that doesn't just mean emotionally vulnerably, but kind of in everything that you do. And so that quote to me, kind of sums up a lot of what we've talked about, and how you go through your everyday, how you become a leader in the workplace, how you present yourself to people, and just how you live your life. And so that's probably been one of my favorite quotes for a while now.
That's great, Zoe. I love that. So, ladies, thank you so much for your time today. What a great panel. I hope we can record this, because this needs to be, the insight and the wisdom that you shared needs to be shared with women across our defense community, or interested in the defense community. And it's really important for girls to see you at your various stages, and how, to know that there's support there to navigate through our defense industry. So thank you so much for your time today. And I hope that, much success in continuing on in your careers. I feel like I got the best panel that I could possibly get here. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So hold tight, folks. Go ahead and get some water and coffee and recharge yourself. We're going to kick back off at 1 o'clock with our focusing on our companies that have graduated out of the Air Force Research Laboratory through the Entrepreneur Opportunities Program. And they're going to talk about the insights that they have in the defense community. And it can really provide insights in, even if you did not, spin out of AFRL, I mean, they're immersed into the startup community and the defense community as small businesses, and have been in the game for quite some time. So I encourage you to come back and grab some lunch, and come back at a little before 1 o'clock, and we'll go ahead and get started.